What's going on, everyone? Chris Mack coming at you today with the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Page Punchers Deathstroke from the DC Rebirth line. And this figure is absolutely gorgeous looking in packaging. If y'all want to pick him up at the time of this recording, I do see he's available at Big Bad Toy Store as well as McFarlane's website. So you get the cool DC Direct logo there. Deathstroke, exclusive comic book on the inside, which is going to be so cool to get in, which is on the back. I can't remember if I picked this one up or not. I'll have to go look at my backlogs. If not, at least I have the reprint here, which we will be going over as well. And since it's a blister pack, as we can see, nothing really on the bottom. Well, there is, but just nothing to really say. You can't really see it, but it says McFarlane and DC there, which is kind of cool. But ultimately, is this figure awesome or not? Let's crack this figure open and get a closer look at Slade Wilson. We briefly went over Slade's backstory when we went over the DC Essentials Deathstroke action figure, so I'll leave a card so y'all can check it out after this video. To go deeper, as I stated in the previous video, Deathstroke the Terminator, Slade Joseph Wilson, first appeared in the New Teen Titans issue 2 from December of 1980. He was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. After Slade's participation in the Korean War, he was assigned to Camp Washington. There he met Captain Adeline Kane, who was tasked with training soldiers and fighting new techniques in anticipation of brewing troubles in Vietnam. Kane was amazed at how skilled Slade was and how quickly he adapted to her warfare techniques and immediately fell in love with him. As the Vietnam War escalated, Slade was shipped overseas. There, he was rescued by SAS member Wintergreen and later chosen for a secret experiment. The Army imbued him with a drug that allowed him to use up to 90% of his brain capacity, giving him enhanced physical powers and near mastery control of his body in an attempt to create super soldiers for the U.S. military. Deathstroke became a mercenary soon after when he defied orders and rescued his friend Wintergreen, who had been sent on a suicide mission by a commanding officer with a grudge. Slade kept this part of his career a secret from his family at the cost, unfortunately, of his son, Joseph. When the criminal, the Jackal, took his younger son to force Slade to divulge the name of who had hired him as an assassin, Slade refused and then attacked and killed the kidnappers. Joseph's throat was slashed before Slade could prevent it, destroying Joseph's vocal cords and rendering him mute. Enraged at the endangerment of their son, Adeline attempted to kill Slade by shooting him, but only managed to destroy his right eye. Slade's other son, Grant, received superhuman enhancements from the Hive, dubbing himself Ravager, and accepted a contract from them to kill or capture the Teen Titans. However, Grant's enhancements proved fatal, and Slade agreed to complete the contract. During the Judas contract, the Titans eventually entrusted their newest member, Tara Markov, who was a spy for Deathstroke, with all their secret identities. Once Slade had this information, he used it to systematically defeat and capture each of the Titans, exploiting them at their weakest moments. This is when we were first introduced to Dick Grayson as Nightwing, along with Jericho, Deathstroke's son, Joseph Wilson. Together, they confronted Deathstroke and Hive, and during the confrontation, Deathstroke recognized Jericho as his son, which caused him to hesitate. Jericho freed the Titans by possessing his father's body, and after Tara died during the battle, Slade was taken into custody. So there is some essential Deathstroke and Titan reading for you all. As for accessories, this one does come with a plethora, though I will say I am absolutely fed up with this gun ban that DC has, where Deathstroke, he uses blades and all that good stuff, but I'm tired of there not being any guns anymore. I just think that is probably the dumbest thing that DC could have done. I know that McFarlane sells those weapon packs, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but to not come with figures, I find that really, really dumb. However, he does come with a katana, which is cool. Now, this Deathstroke figure does look familiar to you. If I'm not mistaken, this is essentially just a repaint of the DC Rebirth Deathstroke that came out shortly before this Page Puncher, and that's why he has this leftover compartment for a knife, which he unfortunately does not come with. But as I just said, he does come with this katana, which is really beautiful, though it is not his trademark one that has the hooks on the side like other figures have come with, but nonetheless, to kind of get something different with that nice sheen on the blade and a beautiful looking hilt, can't complain. But what I do like about this one is he does come with his bow staff, which you're going to have to remold because it comes kind of cockeyed. Metal looks gorgeous. But in the comics, this thing is not only a bow staff, but on the edges, I don't know what he calls it, but each side has blasters, and he's used it to fight Batman and all that good stuff. Has that nice metal indents where the hands will go. So I like that piece. The other cool thing that this one comes with is this. I'm not sure what the name of this type of sword is. I know there's a traditional Asian name for it. It looks like something that would come with the Ninja Turtles, but the hilt looks good with that black, the nice blade on the edge. The block here very much looks like a batleth. And then that curved blade, just think of how that's going to grab you. Good stuff all around. The one thing that I do like that this one comes with, not that other Deathstroke figures did not come with, is a Slade Wilson head. And I'm glad that this came with this and not a separate action figure altogether, because they did that with the Suicide Squad figures and that drove me nuts. So I love that it just has that nice patch over the eye. Beautiful work on the hair to kind of get that old man look about it. Very beautiful piece. He also comes with this trading card, and I think this looks absolutely beautiful. I wish that it would have told us who this artist is. For this one, I have absolutely no idea. So if you know who this artist is, please let me know, and I'll make sure to get the back so you can kind of check out the quick read-up that we come with this card. So absolutely epic stuff there. The last thing he comes with is the stand, which we all know, which is helpful when you're trying to do toy photography, or if you just want to put them on a shelf and you don't want to worry about them falling off. As for the pinups of this figure, as I said, the Rebirth version looks exactly like this, so I'm 99.9% sure it's the same mold. It's just that one came as gray and orange. This one is blue and orange and white, which why I'm liking this one a lot more is it's very much more akin to his original look. Though I wish we could just get an original 1980s Deathstroke with the Buccaneer boots that flapped over. I call them bell bottoms, but they look like pirate boots. But nonetheless, I love all the scaling. That kind of identical armor look here looks great. The masked head sculpt looks great. I love just that little bit of white in the eye. Just adds to everything around it. I do kind of wish that these were blue and orange, because it just kind of blends in when it falls onto his back. The belts look good. And the other thing about weapon accessories, yeah, he does come with this sort of ghetto way to sheathe the sword on the back, which is can come out real easily, so that's kind of frustrating. But I wish that they would have given like the side sheath for the sword. And I don't think that the bow staff connects here. Well, kind of does. So it would have been nice if they would have given it where you can cross them on the back like Leonardo or something. But still, you play around, get some good ideas that way. And I love all the little details in the mask. You can't really see it very well here, but all the line work just looks really great. Beautiful stuff all around. As for the articulation, warm him up first, because when I took him out, he was stiff as a board, so I had to put him on my space heater for a good while to finally get the joints. Now, I wish, speaking of joints, I wish that there was a butterfly joint here. I mean, it's okay, but I would just wish that we could bring it in closer that way so the arms can go in and out, 360, up and down. Thankfully, double jointed elbows. And the hands are still a little stiff, even though I've warmed them up several times, but you can move them, twist them. Heads down that much up. And you get some decent play that way. He does bend at the solar plex. I haven't had enough coffee today, so you just kind of have to bear with me. You can twist there, and thankfully it does twist at the waist as well, so you get a nice range of motion that way. Legs out that far. I'm glad that he finally started putting in that thigh cut or swivel there, because the earlier ones did not have that, and it just makes them feel so much more stiff. Double jointed knees. Foot goes out. Foot goes up. That toe pivot, I hated it when I first saw it, but now in terms of doing photography, I'm so glad that that's there, because it just makes it look more natural when you try to get them in a walking position. Thankfully, McFarlane figures do have the soft butt flap, so you can get it up just about 90 degrees. That sounded terrible, I know. But Hasbro, pay attention to that, because that is a very helpful little piece. Though I will say that sometimes when it starts to flap up, it does look like they're wearing a diaper. So you just got to take it where it is. But if you're a DC fan, you enjoy Deathstroke the Terminator, This one is definitely up your alley. He has that old school look. Paint apps look beautiful. The plethora of accessories, even though it's not a gun, nonetheless, absolutely gorgeous piece. Highly recommend it. So I've come to the realization that I think I have too many Deathstrokes. I enjoy him. He's one of my favorite villains. But this is getting out of hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Deathstrokes. I'm thinking about hanging on to the Arkham Origins one here, but this DC Rebirth that came out shortly before the Page Puncher one, this is essentially a repaint of this one, but I like this because it has more of the traditional colors and it has his bow staff. So I'm thinking about keeping that one. I'm debating selling the DC Essentials and the DC Rebirth. I don't know. Let me know if you guys are interested or what do you guys think, because, yeah, who needs 5 Deathstrokes? Now, what's different as you see here, I decided to take the head sculpt that comes with the Page Puncher, and this one will not fit because he has one of those tiny neck joints, like the little tiny dumbbells. These have those huge fat ones. So I was like, well, let's try it on the Essentials one to see if we can make this look good or not. And it doesn't look too bad. It has the tiny head joint like this one, but the problem is the space. So when you put it on, it would look better if it was sitting about there, but it doesn't fit right, so it goes all the way down the neck, so it makes it look like he has no neck. Like, where is your neck? So sadly, that doesn't work, and then again, because it has such a tiny hole, it doesn't fit on these two. So it is what it is. But if you are a fan of Deathstroke the Terminator, at least you have some options, and they all, in their own ways, look absolutely beautiful. But as I said, I wish that we could get a McFarlane DC Multiverse version of the classic bell-bottom Buccaneer boots, just the way he was supposed to look in the OG George Perez Marv Wolfman comics. I would have preferred this to be to that one, but looking at all of them, definitely this one because he at least has the traditional colors. The Arkham Origin one, it's okay. I mean, I know they had to make it look more armor, but I was watching a gentleman on TikTok, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was talking about how he likes costumes to look more simplistic, which I agree with. When it starts to get too complicated, it just feels like it gets too mired in detail. Don't get me wrong, when we go over this one, it is beautiful, but still, I'm just a sucker for that one. I don't know, what is your favorite rendition of Deathstroke? What do you guys plan to do with your Slade Wilson action figures? Are you going to put them on a shelf? Do you guys do action figure photography? Let us know. Share some of the photos over on our socials. We'd love to talk to you about it. I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. Now here's Deathstroke against one of his longest arch rivals, Nightwing. If you guys haven't read the Judas Contract, it's definitely one of those DC comics that has gone down in mythos and has to be read and appreciated. And as I said just a moment ago, this at least has that old school Deathstroke look. I wish that he had the Buccaneer pirate boots, but nonetheless, he has his, I don't know what that thing was called. It was like a bow, but it could shoot blasters out the bottom. I don't remember exactly. The one thing that I will say that I'm getting absolutely tired of, though, is the gun ban. We've talked about that before. So not being able to come with any cool weapons, at least paint app-wise, and the accessories he does come with, if you are a DC fan and a Deathstroke fan, this one is definitely up your aisle. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics, as well as the places that we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you did enjoy this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you mind hitting that fancy little Deathstroke bell next subscribe, that way as I can upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, photo slideshow coming up next. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.